YouTube! I am Pinstar, and this is Transport Fever Strategy and Tactics Episode 2. So when we last left our oily empire here, we had been sending our fleets of trucks here, well, not trucks. We haven't invented trucks yet. They're horses that are carrying big pits of sloshing oil behind them. I'm sure they enjoy that. But yes, some of our guys are starting to make the return trip here. Now, the first couple of them are going to come back empty, because even though we have our memo gathering ones, it's still going to take this place a little bit of time to decide to, oh, wait a minute, they're delivering us free oil, and they want to take the fuel back. Well, all right, fine. We'll send them the fuel. It takes them a little while to do that. So the first few are going to come up empty, and there's no real getting around that. It's not ideal. It's not desirable, but it happens. Now we can see down here, that we do have fuel going through the line finally. Basically what happens is it's going to fill up with the refined oil, which we don't need, and then all future crude oil deposits are going to turn into fuel, which is going to be what we want. That's kind of what kind of part of the reason why. So basically what we're going to continue doing here is we're going to continue sending carts down here until we get our first drop of fuel here in Ficklewood West. So by-road vehicles, horse wagon, I saw that there's 8 there. Actually, let's buy 2 of them, send them both. Line 1, Viola, let us go. And see, hear that boomsh. They just upgraded their production capacity, so now this thing's going to really start cranking out oil. Not that they weren't being able to keep up, but it's good that they hiked up production. All right, more road vehicles, horse wagon. Well, there's 4 in there, but there's going to be 4 more by the time he gets there. And again, we're waiting for the first deposit of fuel into this depot here before we make our next move. In the meantime, we just keep on making these things. Come on, who's going to have the first? Aha! You, my friend, just had the first delivery of fuel. So now the game changes a little bit. So here's what happened. So, and again, you have to think about from the minds of the factory managers. And this is why this strategy works the way it does. So we are delivering crude oil from here to here, and we get paid for that delivery. Now, you might say, well, Pinstar, why don't you have your trucks deliver fuel from here to the towns directly? I mean, that's what you did in your Pinstar plays. Why not do it here? I'll tell you the reason why we're not doing it here. Because by bringing the fuel back here and then distributing it here, we're adding an extra step to the thing. We are making this line full both ways. The trucks are once everything gets up to speed, are full of crude oil on the way down, full of fuel on the way back, and we make money both ways. That is how you profit. If the trucks are full only one way, which happens, I mean, there's not a real good way to get around that. They're going to give you a little tiny profit. You'll do a bit better than break even as long as your roads are straight. But ultimately, you're not going to see the big bucks. But by making this full both ways, you're going to get paid both ways. And that's going to get us the cash. Now, our attention shifts now to these. Sorry about that, folks. I'm back. I had a little bit of a coughing fit. My apologies. So anyway, so the next part is what we're looking for here is we're going to be doing a similar thing to what we initially did with the crude oil, but we're going to be looking at the fuel. So as soon as the fuel builds up for a line in quantities greater than 4 or equal to 4, we are going to build another truck. Now, yes, I know there is a oh, you're about to make a fuel delivery too. That somewhere out there is one of my Pioneer trucks that's going to want to grab that. And yes, they're going to make their thing and they'll join in the chain here. But we want to get this off to market as soon as possible. So horse wagon buy, and in this case, we send you to line 3. And pay attention to which line. There are 2. Wow, that all went to line 3. Okay. Well, then you get to go to line 3 too. There are when fuel is delivered here, it will have a specific destination. The factory, the refinery down there, is basically communicating with the 2 towns and says, "Hey, you guys want some fuel? You do? You have some open demand? Okay, which one of you wants it more?" Well, line 3, which I believe goes up here to Ficklewood, wants it more because there's more industry. So we're going to see a lot of our fuel go to line 3. That being said, once we start getting saturated with a lot of fuel, we're going to start seeing some of that fuel show up as a separate line item going to line 2, and then we'll know to send trucks accordingly. Also, we don't need to be too shy about our crude oil. See, there's line 2. But it's not, it doesn't equal or exceed 4 yet, so we're not sending another truck down that way. We are going to send one to there, and you know what? We want to supersaturate our line 1 here. We basically want a almost constant stream of trucks going to and from. And the good way to check out your saturation levels here is with the route manager. This handy dandy guide right here, this frequency, this right here, well, this not only tells you sort of the profitability of your route, and you can see we're already making cash on this place, but it tells you mathematically what is the frequency, not literally, because it doesn't account for traffic jams and the spacing of your trucks. But what is the mathematical frequency? Basically, the number of trucks on the line times the divided by the distance of the line, how frequently are these going to show up to service. Now, as far as the frequency here, line 3 wants a little bit more fuel. And yep, there we go. So now all of the trucks that are going to come in here are going to be pretty much full of fuel, which is awesome. Now, as far as number of lines here, 30 seconds is a good frequency. Maybe get it down to 25, or maybe, you know what, I'm just for OCD reasons, I'm going to buy 3 more trucks and send them on our way here. I mean, we've got more than enough crude oil. At this point, you're not constantly sending trucks every time you get more than 4 crude oil. You would just flood the line and it would be a nonstop traffic jam. But I am going to buy 3 more, send them to line 1, and call line 1 done for the moment. Line 2 has an opening here. So does line 3. And yes, we do want to make sure. Now, here's one of the important reasons. Not only are we delivering this and getting paid, I mean, when they bring them from here to the town, we're getting paid for that line. We're not getting paid for any on the way back, unfortunately, so they're not going to be as profitable as our main line here, but we are going to get paid for that. But the other thing is, if too much fuel builds up here and is not being delivered to the towns, the refinery is going to start saying, "Hey, you're not moving this stuff. I'm not giving you more fuel to bring over here until you start moving some of the fuel that you've already built up out of there." So you need to be mindful of that in terms of keeping up with stuff. So this is why we want to monitor it pretty closely here. So we've got 1 for line 2, 2 for line 3. Now, eventually, we're going to start getting people coming back from these two, their towns, and they're going to be able to keep up with the supply of the fuel on their own. We're looking to reach a sort of a point of stabilization here. But by keeping up with everything, that allows us to make sure that everything's flowing smoothly and that we don't get any balking from our local refinery manager. The managers are like, I don't want to call them the bosses of the level, as in like, your traditional, video game bosses, but they kind of are, because they're the ones that call the shot as to what goods get to show up to your depots, not you. You call the shots about which depots you're going to build and what places you're going to service, but you don't get to call the shots as to what goods show up there. You kind of got to play ball by them. Now, that being said, they are not infallible. As we can see, we're kind of tricking them to paying us an extra node because they know the goods are making their way towards the town here. Even though the towns can't use any of the goods that are delivered here, they know, all right, they know that this is closer than here, so that the goods are making their way in the general direction of the towns, even if that's not their final destination. All right, let me slow things down here a little bit. And 1, 2 on line 2. 1, 2, 3 on line 3. We are not being shy here. The other reason why we wanted to use the larger station here is with the large station, there are 3 points where trucks can stop to pick up and drop off goods. So we got one stop where trucks can pick up the crude oil and drop off the fuel. And then you got 2 separate stops where the trucks can pick up the fuel to deliver to their respective lines here. Like if we close on here, see these guys going, this is the line 2 side. So while these guys are kind of backed up here, this guy can sneak on by and he's going to line 3. So he's going to stop and do his loading over here. So this way you can sort of get your throughput going through here a bit faster. So now we got another line 1 guy. He's dropping off his fuel. He's picking up his oil, all that fun stuff. And we're starting to get return customers here for some of our other lines. So we'll want to just sort of keep in mind, keep an eye on things. Like I am going to buy another for line 3 because line 3 does have more demand. Maybe another for line 2. And like I said, we're pretty much saturated our main line here. So filling them with more oil trucks is not really going to help us out in the long run. All right, let's speed things up a bit more here. Okay, so now one of the things that doing this does for the town is see all this construction down here? By delivering goods to a town, you enable it to start growing. And the more things you service of a town, the better. All right, looks like we got a little bit more of a build up here for line 2. By the way, if you are slacking too much on picking up the goods, you'll get a warning in here. Being that this has not flashed for us, we haven't built up, like 14 goods, that's not so bad. When you start getting into like the 30s and the 40s, then they're going to start to balk. And all of a sudden, line 2 has gotten a lot hungrier for fuel here. I think line 3's got pretty much all that it needs at the moment. So most of our guys are going to be line 2 at the moment. Our new guys anyway. Just because we're building up so much more fuel with them. And they just upgraded to level 3. Let's see how our refinery is doing. They have upgraded to level 2, which is great. That's all they really need to service 2 towns here. And we've got a nice little buildup of fuel here. Now here, you don't get the line 2, line 3 buildup or distinction here. It's all line 1 down here because it's all just line 1 that's transporting it. So they kind of make the decision as to what units of fuel go to line 2 and which ones go to line 3 at this point. Looks like we're getting a wave of supply here. Like I said, it's okay to build up to this levels, but I don't want it to go too much higher. And like I said, we'll get a warning. Like they're not gonna cut us off hard if we dip into the 30s for just a brief moment. But that being said, let's get at least one more of each. And usually, if you're going to do some mass buying, you want to try and weave them, like do one of one, one of another, one of one, one of another. That way, they can sort of sneak into each other, and they're not all backing up at the same time at the same station. Let's do another bit of weaving here. Line 2, line 3. And we seem to be holding pretty steady here in terms of our profitability, which will enable us to do a little bit more expanding into the future. Let's do another couple of lines here. A lot of this is just really maximizing and spamming the ever-living heck out of your road network here. Speaking of our road network, one of the things you may consider doing in the future is upgrading them. Now, that being said, like if we look at the roads right here, the roads that appear between the sites by default are these. Small country loads, 2-lane road with a speed limit of 40 kilometers per hour. Now, if we look at one of our carts here, we can see that they only have a top speed of 15 kilometers an hour. So upgrading the roads is not going to make them go faster. So there's absolutely no reason to upgrade the roads at the moment. But later on, as technology advances, then the speed limit of the roads that your guys are traveling on will actually matter. Yeah, see how these are getting knocked down? We're getting waves of our city deliveries returning. So yeah, you need to kind of carefully balance that. But I think we're doing pretty darn well. So in our next episode, what we're going to do here is, sort of further ensure the profitability and demand of our 2 towns here. And that's going to be done by building some passenger services, because passenger services, like the goods markets here, are all well and good, but passengers are really going to be where it's at when it comes to making the towns grow. Passengers, they're not necessarily going to be that profitable, but they are going to help our towns grow, and that's going to increase the town size. The growing town size will therefore increase the demand for the goods, allowing us to further saturate our lines, and more importantly, keep everything up and running and increase our profitability. So I hope you guys found this helpful. Let's take a quick look at Pelican Town here. See, we're not too saturated here. And Ficklewood, more saturated here, but we have not hit our limit, and that is good. And the more they grow, and especially the more the industrial zones grow, the more goods that the whole town will demand. And helping out population growth by doing passengers will only help that in the long run. So, if you guys like this episode and you want to see more like it, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and leave me a comment, good, bad, or indifferent. Your feedback's always welcome. So until next time, this has been Pinstar, signing out. See ya.